From inside a car, a woman named Holly was on the phone with her husband while driving. According to her confession, Holly always traveled on weekends with the excuse of fulfilling demands from her office. Her husband seemed to not suspect anything and acted as if it was normal.
What a first date it was. I was a little worried.
After driving for a long time, Holly finally arrived at her destination. It turned out that she went to a luxury hotel at the foot of the Aspen Mountains. After making a reservation, Holly was escorted by a hotel employee named Dave to a room that had been specially booked for her. Apparently, Holly had an affair with a man. When she arrived at the hotel room, she found a letter containing a message from her lover that he was not currently in the room and would be back soon. The letter also contained a message for Holly to immediately take a shower and open the other envelope in the sink. After bathing and showering, Holly found a red box in the closet, and when the box was opened, it turned out that the contents were various sexual play tools such as handcuffs, costumes, and so on. While smiling, embarrassed, Holly understood the intention of her affair and immediately used the costume that had been prepared for her. She also wore handcuffs and blindfolds while waiting for the arrival of her affair man. Not long after, a man arrived. At that time, Holly thought the man was her affair named Everett. Without further ado, the man slowly groped Holly's body to make the woman sigh with pleasure, and the longer, their sexual intercourse became more intense. Because the man's play was so rough, Holly began to moan in pain and asked to stop. However, the man continued until he was satisfied. After the sex, the man walked out of the room and left Holly alone. It turned out that the man was Russell, Holly's legal husband. At that time, he immediately approached Everett, whose body had been tied up with his mouth gagged using duct tape. Coldly, Russell told Everett to lie that Everett was the one who had just had rough sex with his wife. In addition, Russell also gave orders that Everett and Holly were not allowed to leave the room. Holly's husband also threatened that Everett did not vary because at that time he had taken his wife and child hostage elsewhere. Since his family was already in danger, it was inevitable that Everett had to obey Russell's orders. Shortly thereafter, Everett, who had been released, came to Holly to remove the handcuffs. Apparently at that time Holly was really angry because Everett had sex so roughly that it caused her pain. At that time Holly really wanted to leave the room. Because he remembered Russell's orders, Everett tried hard to persuade and seduce Holly not to leave. The cell phone rang, and when Everett picked it up, Russell once again reminded him to follow the orders and directions he had been given or his family would be in real trouble. It seems like Russell really hates him because it was known that Everett and his wife have been having an affair for more than 6 months. Long story short, Everett managed to diffuse Holly's anger and control the situation. Suddenly, Holly got a call from her husband, Russell, warning his wife to be careful with a man named Everett. At that time, Holly was confused because how could her husband know that at that time she was with Everett, her affair? Therefore, Holly tried to explain to her husband that Everett was her student and there was nothing strange. However, Russell firmly said that he knew what they had been doing all along and explained Everett's crimes in detail, causing Holly to panic. After making fun of his wife, Russell told her to get out of there as soon as possible. It seems like Russell intends to pit his wife and her mistress against each other by giving opposite orders. Suddenly, Everett came and took Holly to the massage place as his apology. Although still wary, Holly complied and let the man massage her. It was then that the two asked each other about their personal lives, even though it violated their affair contract. Everett asked about Holly's husband, and Holly asked about Everett's wife. After giving Holly a massage, Everett told her to take a shower to wash off the massage oil on her body. While checking his cell phone, Everett immediately panicked because he thought Holly wanted to escape from him through the bathroom balcony. He broke down the bathroom door and found Holly, who was preparing to take a shower. Finally, the two decided to take a shower together. While bathing together, Everett finally found out Holly's husband's job as an inactive surveillance detective. It turned out that it made Everett even more panicked and scared. After taking a shower, Everett found sleeping pills that had been prepared by Russell to sedate Holly. At that time he realized that all this time Russell had been watching his movements. He was confused about looking for surveillance cameras in the room. On the other hand, Holly opened her suitcase to retrieve the sleeping pills that she always carried at the request of her husband. With this, the two intend to sedate each other with the same sleeping pills according to the scheme planned by Russell. Moments later, Everett arrived and invited Holly to drink the wine he had sabotaged earlier. With the same intention, Holly asked for a glass of white wine so that Everett would leave for a moment. That's when Holly put her sleeping pills into Everett's drink. As a result, they both drank wine that had been given the same sleeping pills. Suddenly Dave came knocking on the door to deliver dinner. Holly came out and gave a tip to Dave, and it turned out that the money contained an SOS message because she was in danger. Everett found out about it from a photo sent by Russell. This time in front of his hotel room there was a tray containing his wife's severed finger. As Everett and Holly sat together, The two began to suspect each other and ask each other questions. Along with that, slowly the sleeping pills began to react. Holly, who began to get upset, tried to kill Everett with an iron chopstick. At that time, Everett was able to provide resistance while trying to explain that all of that was the plan of Russell, her husband, but in the end they both fell unconscious due to the influence of the sleeping pills. A few moments later, Holly woke up with her hands cuffed on the bed, while Everett found Russell, who was covered in blood because his tongue had been cut out by someone. Because he could no longer speak, Everett did not understand what Russell wanted to say at that time. He was confused, if not Russell, who was the mastermind behind this crazy game. Then Everett freed Holly and brought her to her dying husband. Holly cried while hugging her husband, who slowly died of blood loss. Shortly thereafter, a mysterious voice was heard explaining the situation, that between the two of them there was only one person who was allowed to leave the place. This time both of them were equally confused and decided to reflect on their